What is up, guys, and welcome back to episode 9 of the Skeptics Podcast. We are coming up on Independence Day of this great country, and we are going to have a good time. Hopefully, nothing bad happens like aliens rain down or something like that. We don't have Will Smith, or at least the strong Will Smith like we used to.
Right.
That'll be able to take care of us now. But everybody here trains, so we're going to be pretty good. I hope everybody's having a great day. Today we're just going to kind of play it off the cuff again. We've been enjoying the podcast kind of like this. It's a little bit more chiller.
Yeah.
We might talk about some random things here. Did you watch the election at all, or the election? Did you watch the thing?
Debate?
Yeah.
No.
At all?
No.
You didn't really miss much. You missed a bunch of just dead faces. And they talked about golf for the last 20 minutes, about having a golf competition.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to remember. Somebody was saying that the real competition at this point, if you want to be elected to be president, is you have to work at McDonald's just for a week to see if you can at least do that. Because I'm not sure Biden can do that. I'm sure Trump would just pay somebody to do that.
Right.
But yeah. So anyway, that's wild. And anyways, all kind of stuff's going on or whatever. But you said you were talking about some interesting things at work today.
Yeah. Towards the end of the day, I had some time, and I was talking to some of our guys just about some deeper topics. I was listening in the background at one point. I was having to get some like email type stuff done, and I was listening to a guy talk about the difference between a journal and a diary. Uh, And so, like, a diary is more about like what you have going on personally right now and how you feel about those things and stuff. Whereas, like, a journal is like deep thought and philosophical questions, And so he had 7 topics of deep thought and philosophical questions. I believe his channel is called Park Notes. It's a guy named Parker. It's a new channel, but he seems to be doing really good right now. I don't even know how I found it, but uh, like some of the questions would be like, do you believe in a God? Okay, like that's a deep topic
Right.
uh, that you can really spend a lot of time digging through. How do you feel about that? What are your thoughts? How do you picture it? Are they the creator of all things, or are you in like the boat that believes they are everything? You know, there's some different thoughts on that. So like that's a deep philosophical topic.
Right.
As well as I'm trying to think if there's another one on there.
Do
Man,
you
it's
have a
hard.
journal or a diary?
Not exactly. Not exactly. I do have some like some notebooks, some journals, I guess, where I do keep notes on things. But a lot of it's just from my own personal like thought process, and I'm actually starting to keep a lot more. I call them notebooks for me, but like I've got 14 arrows for my bow, and I've just started shooting real serious. I think I'm gonna shoot every other day to get dialed in for deer season. Okay. And I've numbered every arrow with a Sharpie on the fletching, 1 through 14, so that I can see which ones perform better than others. Because like if one of them has like something that's wrong with it or there's a defect in it, and sometimes they're just nuanced. Uh, Instead of having to try to keep track of that and log it in your mind, like, oh, yeah, these were my 4 favorite ones. They shot the tightest group. If you write that down, now you don't have to think about it anymore. You have more room to think about other important topics or aspects of your life. So I am starting to do more of that, but it's
Did any of the guys have one?
any of the guys know.
I'm kind of anxious on how many people have one because I do have kind of the same thing you're talking about,
Yeah,
but I have it for like the log of all of our vehicles,
right,
and I just keep like when I did oil change, when I did automatic transmission fluid or
right,
whatever it is,
right.
and stuff like that. I don't know if I've ever had like something I've wrote kind of like my thoughts down in.
Hmm.
Maybe I should just to go back and reflect it, but I don't even. There is a camp that thinks that that's like a very good thing to do and go back and like reflect the things,
Right.
but it seems like in my mind, coming from somebody that does not have a journal or anything, it's like I would never. I would just think, okay, I thought that way for whatever that reason, and that's not the way that I think right now.
So this guy, based off of some of the stuff I've seen, he has like so many of them that he's got filled up that are in his library. He's got a library in his house. And so I feel like if you're going to be somebody who goes back on it, like for me, I don't know if I would ever want to store those.
That's what
Like,
I'm saying. Like, what would you go if you had a dramatic experience,
yeah,
like, and then you're having another one?
yeah.
What going back to that moment is it really gonna do for you?
So that's what I was trying to think about, right? Is dwelling on something you've done
Hmm.
and just sitting there contemplating it. Or maybe you've wrote it down and you forgot, but then it comes back up and you're like, "Ooh, let me read how I felt about that." I don't think that's a good thing. Personally, it's not something that I actually agree with. Now, I do like it for the idea of like trying to like instead of trying to remember everything, it's something I
Right.
do at work now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I literally write down the person's name
Yeah.
and what was said for almost everything except for myself currently. And
Yeah.
I'm really thinking about keeping a log now of throughout the day when somebody like stops me and it's like, "Hey, I need to talk to you." Because I'm finding out that it happens all the time. Like either I'm somebody calls me on the phone or they physically are like, "Hey, I need your help on this," or "Hey, I need to talk to you about this," or and I'm curious to see how many times throughout my day I have to stop what I'm doing and go work these other problems out.
I have, and same thing is kind of what you're talking about.
Right,
Now I don't. I'm on the phone a lot,
right,
but I keep a journal that literally, if somebody texts me,
mm-hmm.
I will literally transfer their text message over to this my notebook
Mm-hmm.
so I can remember and make sure that it's been done by the end of the day,
Right,
because there is plenty of times it's like if somebody sends me a picture of an item they need to buy and they say, hey, I need to order this,
right,
I can screenshot that and I can put it in an email and I can throw it to Ryan.
mm-hmm.
But Ryan's my boss, if anybody's wondering that. If I do that, the only time I can double check myself is if I remember to go back and send emails to see if I did it.
Right,
And if I write it down, I can just put a check mark next to it and I know that it's pretty much been done.
right. So I cross mine out. I put one
Yeah.
line through it, so it's still I can still read it, but there's a line through it, so I know at a quick glance I can say, okay, those are done. And I even uh, like my boss told me three different times, four actually over the past 2 days. But I've got it wrote down three separate times on there, and that helps to show the significance. Right? It's like, hey, on Wednesday, this has to happen.
Right.
It cannot be missed. Okay, well, it's on there three times at three separate spots. There's no way I can miss that.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah. If you got good peers, there will be one way that reminds you. And
right,
you got the book.
right.
And then you can keep track of all kind of stuff that needs to be done like that all the time.
Yeah,
I am kind of anxious though to get one of these. So I've been listening to this guy lately. His name is Ruslan
okay.
KD,
Hmm.
and he's got podcasts, but he also has videos. And he does. He used to be a rapper, I think it was, or something like that, or like a Christian rapper or whatever. And anyways, he has a channel now, and they talk about all kind of stuff when it comes to God and everything. And
Yeah.
he sells a prayer journal that you can write your prayers down in it, and and then I guess reflect on them.
Okay.
But I'm not. There's a couple things that I pray about every single day that's normally the same.
Yeah.
But then it's like the other things I don't know why I would write down the other things because they're just one off things, but and why write down the stuff that I'm always gonna pray about? Like why I one thing that I'll always pray about is the safety of Cammy.
Hmm.
That's why one of the things I pray about every single day.
Yeah.
I don't have to write that down in this. Why would I need to write this down in the book if I know what it is?
Right.
Now, if it's something different, if you come up to me and says, "Hey, my dad's having problems,"
Right.
uh,
Right.
and I pray for him, then it's like, if I wrote that down, it's like, if I went back to it, and it definitely sounds like I'm hating on journaling right now.
I know. I feel like I am too.
I'm,
I'm the
I'm,
one
I'm
watching it.
not whatsoever,
Uh,
but because everybody's different. But like, why would I go back to that? Because even say something happened.
yeah,
Say like didn't your dad's back was hurt a couple days or not too long ago or something like that.
yeah, yeah,
So say I prayed over that, and then the next week it was healed.
yeah.
Me, I don't have to go back and reflect on that. God maybe did that
Right,
because I know that there's always a chance that he can do anything.
right.
So it's like I am anxious to kind of get this one though because there's already stuff already written in it. So maybe I don't have to come up with everything off the cuff.
That's really interesting that you say that. So I found one that's just a standard type journal, and it asks questions.
Yeah. See,
So then
maybe that
I'm
would
gonna
be more
write in there,
interesting.
and I'm gonna pretty much answer a preset
Yes.
thing of questions. And it's funny you say that. Mine wasn't uh, like spiritual. It was just like regular
Yeah,
stuff.
and that would be way more interesting to me.
But I thought to myself, if I want to give this journal stuff a try, and I think I do, I'm not going to do it on my own because I feel the same way you do. Especially currently in my life, like I'm pretty solid on like
You're pretty self-aware.
yeah,
Yeah, I agree.
yeah. I sit down and often reflect on things that I have done throughout the day and how they affected things. Yeah.
This makes it sound like we're perfect. Definitely not.
No, so
Yeah,
let me warn you real quick.
definitely
There's a
not.
reason why I sit down and reflect because there's a lot of bad things I
Yeah,
do.
yeah, yeah. There's a bunch of screwed up stuff that goes on in our
Yeah.
mind all the time. I mean, it wasn't a couple days ago. John was saying all kind of slurs. I mean, that's,
No, but there's like negative stuff like, maybe I handle a situation wrong.
yeah,
Maybe I handled it like with a burst of anger
yeah, yeah, yeah.
instead of talking normally and handling it rationally. I'm going to sit and reflect on that. So it's I'm not always reflecting because I'm this great person. Sometimes it's because I did something that I thought had a negative impact, and I need to figure out how I can keep from doing that again.
This is kind of going on into a different little point off, little side quest.
Yeah.
Do you think is there ever a right time to be angry about something?
Yes.
Okay, explain it. Because I've always had a problem, guys, with I don't get upset about anything.
Right.
Like I mean, there is some things like pedophiles. They belong in one place and one place only. Uh, but I I don't know. Like Cammy's had times where she's like, uh, you should be mad about this, and
Right.
and I'm just like, well, I'm not. And then it's like one of the stories I love to tell is I had a Camaro when I was in college, and somebody backed in the Camaro on April Fool's Day, and my teacher comes in and says, "Hey Dylan, I need to see you outside. Somebody hit your car." For one, I thought it was a joke because it was
Right.
April Fool's Day.
Right.
Number two, it wasn't a joke, and anyway, dude backed into my mint condition Camaro, and I walked outside, and of course, all my buddies were right behind me. It wasn't like they were just calling for me,
Right.
and I'm like, well, I mean, if nobody's hurt, we're good to go. And then my friend Jacob's like, dude, I will fight someone for you right now. He's like, I'm mad that somebody hit your car because my
Right.
Camaro was bright red, and they were trying to avoid my other friend's truck, which is a nice truck, but apparently he missed the green truck, but he hit the red car. But anything, everybody got fixed about that. But I'm anxious to hear on like when is it okay to get angry?
So I just went to a training offsite. My work provided. I'm very thankful for these. I actually talked about this recently.
Yeah.
Really glad that that's something that I get to do. Uh, and it was so impactful. And this is something that we talked about. And everybody took an anger eval. Okay, which actually I should send you a copy,
Send it
and
to me.
we could do that.
I'd love to. I'll do it live here right now.
All
I'll tear it up live.
my guys did one, and it's so interesting what you find out because there was like three different kinds, and actually I can find the information real quick, and I can tell you what the three kinds are.
Three
Uh,
different kinds of angry.
Three different kinds of anger, yes.
Okay.
Um, but there are times when you can be angry and it's okay, it all depends on how you express your anger.
Okay,
So
but
that's the major key. So you can be upset and you can feel angry and you can even talk about like why you're angry and stuff. But like if you get angry and you punch a hole in the door, wrong.
wrong. Yeah, you're acting like a child.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's ridiculous.
yeah.
Um,
That's what I always say about it. That's another thing that gets me going. Is I'm not like it, but I'm not angry about it. But it's like if grown-ups start doing like throwing stuff, and when they get mad at like their spouse or their kids or something like that,
yeah.
stop being a child. It was like, no, that's not what you're supposed to do. Like that is a choice. At the end of the day, I've known plenty of people that's thrown a lot of crap, and they're very old. Get a grip. Continue what you were saying.
Okay. So there's like this there's this idea that you're not allowed to have certain emotions because they're negative emotions. And I don't agree with that. It's the same reason why like me and you've talked about like people say
What's a negative emotion?
so people say like anger is a negative is emotion.
Is there another one? I guess anxiety could be considered. I guess. Well,
Like
no, not really.
anxiety is really it's a byproduct.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
becomes secondary.
The only reason I'm saying that is I was telling you I watched that new Inside Out movie,
Oh yeah,
or Inside Out 2,
yeah, yeah.
and it's about all the hormones or emotions,
Emotions.
not hormones. And there is one in it that's anxiety.
Yeah.
And the whole sequence of the movie is when this young girl's going through puberty, so it's bringing in these new emotions, and they're fighting the old ones, which is
Yeah.
like anger, joy, and all this. But we'll continue.
And so, but like me and you've talked about, some people look at men in a certain light. And so, like, if men show sadness, they think of that as a bad emotion.
Yeah,
Because
it
like,
shows that everybody thinks it shows that they're weak.
right, where in reality, as a human, as a person, if you can express every emotion in a healthy form, you're actually really strong. Like, if you can show me that you're sad about something,
Mm-hmm.
you don't have to cry. Here's a perfect example. Do you mind me talking about the baby horse?
No, no, no. Yeah.
Okay. So they had a horse recently. It wasn't feeding, or wasn't eating from the mom,
Mom's tits weren't big enough.
and they.
That's very true.
I know. You make so many jokes. It's just like. And so they were on this ungodly routine
Yeah.
for feeding it, and it's not plausible. The horse ended up dying, and whilst that's sad, me and you didn't like cry over it,
Yeah.
but it's still like, well, I mean that's sad. You hate
Yeah,
that,
yeah, yeah.
but it's part of life.
Right. I had when I was burying it, I had like a couple tears.
Yeah.
It they weren't a whole bunch because there was not a connection
Connection, yeah.
at this. I mean, at this time, but it's just sad that
It's just
something
sad.
died. Yeah.
Right, right. And so that's a healthy
Yeah, yeah,
way of expressing that. And me and you being able to talk about it and you not being afraid to share that, that shows strength. And it shows maturity and that you're a well rounded individual.
thanks.
But so here's the three ways that anger shows up. It's either masked anger, it's hidden, uh, and there's some subcategories we could even get into. Then there's explosive anger,
Okay.
so it just blows up.
Okay.
And then there's chronic anger.
Is this like on look? Where am I supposed to be thinking of these on a scale right now?
So they kind of are on a scale, and so I'll have to just give you the test.
Okay.
I'll have to print one off or find a way I can send it to you. But the deal is like so you have these different ways that it shows up, and everybody has to find out. Like if you can find out what kind of anger you have,
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
now you can work on
Yeah,
that.
I know where you're going with this now.
And so that's the whole deal. And so here's the point: masked anger, people pleaser, sneaky, self blame. Okay, so they're going to be angry because they're always just giving, giving, giving. People are always taking. They're just pleasing everybody all the time.
Trying to think which one that is, or if that's the closest one.
Well, that one's under masked.
What what is
it's like hidden and bottled up
what
anger.
is the definition of anger actually?
I don't know like the dictionary definition.
Because when you're angry,
Yeah.
do you have to be angry at something, or can you just be angry? But
Okay.
that sounds like you just be like grumpy.
Oh, cool. There you go. So I'm getting to that. So you have these three categories: people pleaser, sneaky, self blame under masked.
Okay.
It's like bottled up anger and stuff. And then you have volcanic, defensive, intimidating, and raging. Those are explosive.
Okay, that one's not me.
Okay. And then you have grumpy, suspicious, moral, or vengeful. That's chronic anger. So if you just seem grumpy all the time, that could be chronic anger.
So
You're just pissed.
so
24/7.
the definition of anger
Yeah.
is a strong feeling of annoyance, displeasure, or hostility.
yeah, yeah.
So I guess if
I
you're
feel
just
the hostility part.
if you're just not dis if you're just displeased with something.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, there is things that obviously all that stuff happens to me at some time, but
also, I mean, you might have a low score in all of these, so you may not be a very angry person, and that's fine.
oh, okay. I thought you were saying that everybody has
No.
one kind.
I asked a group, right,
Mhm.
and like I had some coworkers and friends take this test, and I was judging scores, right? Not I'm not judging the people, but I was trying to evaluate their scores related to mine.
Yep.
And I was surprised how high my score was
Compared to other people's.
compared to other people's. Now, there's other people though whose scores were higher than mine, and I wasn't surprised. I knew that they were angrier than I am.
So at a certain point, does it get to where you're just like like a sociopath? Like you're just
I mean, I don't know actually on that scale. I do think that it does get to a point where like I was talking with a friend, and I do think there's a point where you need like professional help.
yeah.
Like I think you need to go see a therapist
Yeah.
and work on what is the root cause, because that's something else. A gentleman named Daniel, he was our teacher. Uh, he had said that the trigger is not the cause of your anger. Perfect example.
Right. Yeah.
I can give you one. So I had a really good example the other day whenever I was I wish I had my notebook because I had to write it down so I wouldn't forget it. Uh,
Like I can give you an
I might could give you one or like one that I would
right.
think you would have.
I don't. This is not something that I get angry about. I mean, maybe it is. Maybe, like I said, maybe I've been mislabeling it the whole time. But it's like the days where I'm really tired.
Mhm.
It's like I don't want to go feed horses.
Right.
And it's like when Cammy comes in and she's like, "Let's go feed horses."
Yeah.
Like that's probably the trigger to where I'm like, man, or whatever. If it's 100 degrees outside or something like that. But so I guess that could possibly be classified as a tad bit of anger.
Okay.
But I realized though in the moment that the only reason that I'm not getting upset at that because it's that exact single thing. There's something else that's
That's
me just my laziness is what's caused the thing.
Okay. So here's a perfect example. Imagine you're riding a bike.
Okay.
Okay. And you're like in a neighborhood where like I've got some family lives in town and there's no sidewalks in their
The
neighborhood.
hood.
And they don't have a sidewalk, so you have to ride your bike in the street.
Okay.
Okay. Uh, and some places have a bike lane, or like you're
Yeah.
supposed to ride in the road and not on the sidewalk. So that's actually a better example. Imagine there is a sidewalk, but you're not supposed to ride your bike on the sidewalk, and you're coming up to a stoplight because you're supposed to treat them the same way
Yeah, yeah.
you do as a car. And a guy comes behind you and just lays on the horn.
Yeah.
And he says, "Get out of the road," right?
N-word. Yeah, yeah. It's happened to me before.
So
Not on a bike.
the trigger of the anger was that guy laying on his horn
Right.
and like cussing you out and telling you to get on the sidewalk. You know you're not supposed to be on the sidewalk anyways. It's just for pedestrians.
Right, right.
But the cause of the anger most likely is that scared you. Okay? So when he drives up and then boom, surprise, there's a horn blaring at you.
Surprise, mother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just catches you off guard.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the actual cause of the anger. That some guy rose up, he scares you, and he decides he wants to call you mean names for effectively no reason.
Yeah, yeah.
But the trigger was that horn, you know.
So being scared could be a trigger that makes you angry.
Well, so being scared is like the cause. Like you were afraid, and so you reacted with anger. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
So
Now,
like he imagine if he pulls up and then says something mean, and it doesn't never catch you off guard,
right.
right? Or he's been riding your tail for a mile, and finally he pulls up behind you, and
And
he like
nips your back wheel.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, that's the trigger.
Yeah.
He's been riding you for a mile. That's causing you frustration.
Right.
Maybe you're a little anxious. You're afraid maybe you're going to get ran over.
Yeah, yeah. You're gonna get jumped.
Yeah.
Blood.
And then and then he bumps you.
Okay.
That's going to set you off.
Yeah.
And so now that's the anger was triggered by the bump, but you were already angered before that.
Right.
Right.
There's something that's
There was a
yeah, 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 yeah.
yeah.
So with that being said, maybe this was my original question, maybe it wasn't.
Yeah.
I actually don't remember. Is there a time that say it's a good time
Yeah.
to be angry?
Yeah.
So like what's one?
Okay. Let's say okay, here's one. This is just one that I just a hypothetical. Let's say Cammy gets hurt at work and she gets she breaks a rib.
Okay.
And the doctor says you have to take it easy
Take it easy on her.
for for a week. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And you get home
Okay.
and she's doing a bunch of stuff that the doctor said not to do.
That would be her, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So I think it would be okay for you to express. Now, it depends on how you handle it. But if you tell her, yeah,
Just messing.
woman.
Listen here, woman.
But if you tell her like I'm angry that you decided to go and do that when you're not supposed to be. I'm angry about that. I think I should have waited for me to get home.
So it's okay to be angry, but it's not okay to act out on the anger.
Right. So like if you showed up, you start yelling and throwing stuff,
Yeah.
or you decide you're gonna start a fight, that's not good.
No.
Right. Like or you just blow up. Or it's also not good to have the masked anger, right? So imagine she goes, "Hey, how was your day?" And you're like, "Don't worry about it."
Don't worry about it, girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you say it in an aggressive way. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, yeah.
Now you're bottling it up.
Yeah, yeah.
You're not talking about it. Instead of being like, "Hey, this is how I feel about this situation. Let's talk about it." You're like, "I'm not even gonna talk about it. It's not even worth my time." And then you take it out on her by being like, "Hey, what do you want to watch? It doesn't even matter."
Yeah, you're just being a butt at
Yeah.
that point. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Like I'm trying to think like from a perspective. It's like because a lot of people say like even the like really smart, educated guys, they say it's like always important to keep your cool.
Yeah.
It's like is there like is the cool on top of an anger or are they just cool?
It can be. So here's another one. Here's a real life example. I was angry about that, and me and this guy talk about a lot of touchy stuff. So like, just you're gonna have to accept it. And this is a deep subject. I just want to put that out there. But like, I was angry about the Uvalde shooting.
Yeah, I'm still angry about it. Like to this day.
Okay, so there you go. But me and you didn't go do any crazy stuff because of that. Me and you, like, I didn't come in and was like, you know what? Me and you showed up to work and was like, dude, did you hear about that? I'm like, that's upsetting. Like, I'm
Yeah,
angry
yeah.
that this X, Y, and Z happened. And I'm angry that,
I guess that's true.
that these people didn't take care of it the way we think that it needs to be taken care of. Now, obviously we weren't there, you know, and blah 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 blah. But
No, they're still wusses. No, I'm not afraid.
yeah, agreed. I mean,
but
I think it should have been shut down, but a lot quicker.
so that's still not acting.
No, but you were angry about that.
Yeah, yeah. So
That's
maybe that was my just original question. Is it okay to ever act out on the anger?
I don't think it's okay to I mean you can show
Like
that you're so okay. So I think it is okay to show anger. So
okay, like so an instance I'm thinking about all the time.
yeah.
And I'm a big proponent of this guy is Christian Craighead.
Yeah.
When he went into that place, if you listen to interviews,
Yeah.
he wasn't angry. Like he wasn't like he was upset something was happening.
Right.
But he just went in and did what he had to do and he left. Like I've never heard him say that he was angry
Yeah, and that's not really a moment.
about it. I mean, it's like somebody's in there killing innocent people,
Right.
but it's just like because I'm pretty sure if it wasn't him, it was somebody else that was talking about it. If you're angry about it, you're probably not in the clear enough head to
No,
go in
yeah.
there and try to do anything.
You have clouded judgment, but I do.
Like if I got angry when I played basketball, dude, I sucked so bad.
So that's another thing though, and you've already recognized that in your life.
Like my coach would get up in my face and said, "Dude, you have to get angry about this." And I'm like, "There's no point in it, because if I get angry, I'm going to fight someone, and that doesn't ever turn out good."
So that's the deal, right? I can't get angry either because I go from 0 to 100,
Yeah,
and I'm ready to throw hands.
yeah,
I'm
exactly.
not. I'm not. I'm over it.
Right.
Versus like, here's a good story. Like my dad. Okay. He he used to race dirt track, and there was one time he was out on the track. He was racing, and a guy hit him, spun him out. He got put to the back. Well, from the view of the flagger, he didn't catch, but it was a dirty move
Yeah,
on
yeah.
purpose
Right.
to take him out a second.
Right.
And so normally when that happens, if they catch you being dirty, most of the time they put both cars in the back because they're up there causing trouble.
Right.
And most of the time they're going to cause trouble again.
Right.
One guy's pissed now,
Yeah. At least it's in the back.
and so at least
Yeah. Yeah.
so and so he didn't know. Well, my grandpa from the pits, he noticed my dad. He got pissed, and so he just and he outdrove everybody, won the race.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's able to channel that anger in a clear mindset in a good way
Yeah. Yeah.
to
Yeah.
win.
Right.
And my grandpa was like, dude, he's like, I'm gonna piss you off every race.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's like,
Yeah.
'cause you win.
Right. Right.
Because he's seen it happen several times. So my grandpa was able to piece together that that was the cause of it.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't just once.
Right. Right. He's channeling the energy to put it towards something that's good.
That's good.
Yeah.
So I do think if you can control it in that sense,
Yeah.
then it can. And I'm assuming that's probably something that your coach had, and he had the ability to channel it in that way, and he just assumed other people are like that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
that's where that's born out of. But not everybody's the same.
So that
some people, it does cloud your judgment.
right. So that need maybe to a certain extent, I need to learn to get angry about things so I can channel it into something else.
That I mean, that might be a healthy thing.
Maybe.
And I'm learning how to channel mine because I struggle with anger. Whereas you don't struggle with it as much.
You know what I just thought about? All emotion really is where your energy decides to go to.
Well, I think
Because you can transfer it to something else.
so.
Because like if as crazy as it sounds, it's like you're using that energy to get mad. Well, I maybe use that energy to get happy.
Right,
Or I use that energy to start gaining anxiety.
Right.
Or I use that energy to whatever another emotion that you could be is.
right.
It's just where you choose to move the energy to.
Right. I use a lot of different emotions to fuel something away from something else.
Use a bunch of different emotions.
Yeah. So like one that I have dealt with a lot recently is I feel like I've dealt with a lot of sadness recently. And
Been taking vitamin D. Vitamin D and vitamin K2 is what big hormone helper.
I have been.
That's why seasonal depression is not real. It's literally just people don't get enough sun.
That's seasonal though. The sun's not out as much in the winter.
Yeah, just take pills.
That's statistic. Well,
It's literally that easy.
say just take pills.
Take
vitamins.
vitamin D and K2 together.
Fine, I'll try that this winter.
That's it. I was literally a physical therapist. Not a physician, just a physical therapist.
Oh, this guy's almost a doctor.
That's it, pretty much.
Yeah. So
Tried to go to doctor school, but they wouldn't let me just wear the gown with nothing else.
yeah. But
They said it wasn't appropriate.
bunch of BS.
I said, "Do you want me to work the best?" I was like, "If you want me to work the best, I'm more lighter. I'm on my feet."
Well, you know what I say? You know, hospital gowns are open in the back.
Yeah.
So I wear them reverse.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking
You don't
about.
want to see my butt. That's weird.
True. Amen to that. Amen
Got
to
it.
that. That's it. That's good. That's good.
But I do think with emotions, I don't know, because like I have learned over the years, because it's taken up until now to understand that I don't know if I ever really truly understood or utilized the like a full thought process, thinking something through on why I was angry about something, and learn how to channel that in a healthy way versus like imagine you're sad or upset about something,
All the time.
and instead of feeling sad, you're like, instead of channeling that into finding a way to be happy or finding like that good outlook, you decide to be angry about it.
You know what this starts to sound like?
What?
That thing that's not real.
Oh, I hear you, man.
You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying.
Depression's not real.
Yeah, there it is.
The statement's coming out right
Let's
now.
get it out there.
It's coming out there right now. It's a choice.
I don't know. So what about clinical?
That's BS. There's no way a doctor is going to come in here and tell me that I am depressed. There's something else wrong with you if they're laying that on you here.
Right, but like let's say you get tested, okay? They physically test you and your hormones come back and they're jacked. Like you were just saying with the vitamin D and the K2.
Yeah.
Let's say your stuff is out of whack.
Yeah.
And so they're like, "Hey,
take some TRT."
They're like, "Hey, you need to be on something."
Yes.
But you got tested.
Yeah.
Okay.
Your problem.
That's clinical though.
Yeah, you're clinically deprived of nutrients or whatever it is.
Right.
Don't be putting depression on it, because anytime you put depression on it, that already makes people think, okay, I'm in a rut that's going to be a lot harder to get out of than I think it's going to be.
Right.
If they were literally just come up to me and say, hey man, your vitamin B is low, you're doing this low, you're doing this low, you are considered clinically depressed at this point. And I'm going to be like, well, shoot, my life sucks. When it could be like, hey man, you got this, this, and this. The way that you can help that is you don't eat as much pasta as you normally do, or whatever. I don't think it's right for a doctor to label you clinically depressed.
What do you think about the people out there who don't believe the stuff me and you believe, though? So, like, imagine if you didn't believe that food could affect it.
At a certain point, everybody has to face reality. That is how. Now there is this. I will say this though. You can clinically, I think, be insane. I think that's a thing.
Yeah.
I'm sure at some point in your life, and I hate this for anybody that it happens to, but if you go through such a traumatic experience to where you're really, 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 really screwed up. I mean, like Ted Bundy.
Yeah.
That dude could talk to anybody. He was smart. He was all this stuff, but he literally, I don't know if you could have ever taught him out of that.
No, yeah.
I mean, it because just from I actually think at some point in time there could have been somebody that could have made a difference with Hitler and him not be the way that he was. I don't know if there was anything that could have been done for people like Ted Bundy to where they just do that stuff.
We were talking about this the other day. So first off, that's going to be a really good movie idea. So if anybody wants to hit me up, I got a friend who I was talking about this with, who we think we got a really good prequel.
Do I know about this?
No. You're going to love this stuff.
Oh.
And this sounds crazy.
Wait, who's playing Hitler?
We don't know yet. We can find somebody, but here's the deal. A prequel before he decides to do all the crazy stuff. His life leading up to that. I don't know. There may be a movie about that already.
I don't know.
It'd be a big prequel.
I mean,
hits box office.
Hall of Fame for sure.
Everybody's watching that.
That's true. That's true. Shout out. Just messing with But going back to it, that I don't know. I have a hard time with that because I've had plenty of times where I've been in ruts. You've had plenty of times where you've been in ruts.
Yeah.
I had a friend of mine at one time literally text me and call me saying that they thought they were depressed.
Mm.
And anyway, I sit there and I hope that person's doing good now. But we sit there and just talked it out for a little bit and just kind of figured out that hey, this is the word you're going through something. Uh, Stick it out. It's all going to get better. Try to take that energy and channel it towards something else that you can try to make you a little bit better. And I'm not saying it's like your body could be in the best shape of its life, but if you're still got mentally stuff wrong, go talk to somebody.
Right.
Get some friends. Just go out and be social.
Yeah.
Like I think that's another. Go get sunlight.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of things like that.
I also think though, on like the friends topic, this is something that I've talked about a lot. Is not on here, I don't believe, but I've talked about with you and some other people. I have like, me and you've talked about circles.
Mm-hmm.
So like you have your inner circle, which is your family, and then you have the next ring, which is like your friends, and the next ring is your community. And like I have certain people who are kind of, most people would say they're friends, but I would put them in the community circle. Like my friend circle isn't very big.
Right.
Like my family circle's small. The ring that goes in between family and community, very thin. Because while I know a lot of these people and I'm very nice to them and they're nice to me and we make conversation and everything's cool, I don't know their family. I don't you know what I mean? Like I think to even be a friend, so like not even being like best friends and like knowing everything about them just about, but just even having a friend, you have to know them on a more personal level.
Yeah.
And so like there's quite a bit of people that I know, but not on a personal level.
Right. Yeah.
You know, like I don't know where they live. I don't know a lot of stuff. Like I know their name, I know where they work, and that's it really.
Yeah.
Besides that, I don't.
I think a lot of people that are depressed, I think put put all physical stuff you could do. Put eating out of the way. Put lifting weights. Put walking.
Mhm.
Put put all that stuff outside. Even put I don't go outside. I don't get sunlight. I don't do this. I don't do this. I think a lot of people, the cure to your depression or your anxiety. Now, this is my opinion. I'm not a doctor, just a personal trainer. I'm not saying that this is fact whatsoever.
Right.
A lot of people's depression is based up on things that they've never said to somebody that they probably need to say to somebody. Because as hard as it may be to talk about, the one thing your body is begging for, literally, is a connection so deep with somebody that you can talk about it.
Yeah.
Because once you've established a connection with somebody that you feel free to open up to and be able to tell all the things about, if that is a good person and try to be a good person,
Yeah.
you literally now have a chance at whatever it was that you're doing. I do think there's other things I do. I do think, like I said, I think you could lift weights, go to the gym, go to church,
Right.
whatever it is.
Right.
But even the people, I'm going to say this till the day that I die, the people that tell you, me and you know them, we're friends with some of them,
Yeah. Yeah.
that say, I wish I lived out in the middle of nowhere where there's no people whatsoever. You're going to get depressed real quick because you have nobody. Humans were created for two things, I think. Number one, if you believe in God, spread the gospel, love Him.
Right.
Number two, it's for connection with other humans.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you got to be friends with everybody. I'm not. My friend circle is pretty small. So is yours.
Yeah.
We got like really, really good friends. You got your family, then you got your community and everything like that. You should be a part of all of that.
Right.
But the 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 inner part of it is going to be the part that why you don't seem to be aware of problems that you could have.
Yeah.
Like if I didn't have you, if I didn't have Cody Allen, or if I didn't have Jacob Boss, if I didn't have Cody Brock, if I didn't have all these people, and I just sat there
Yeah.
by myself, no wonder my life sucks. I you're, and I'm not saying that I'm not trying.
Right. Right.
It's just you don't even know to try.
Yeah.
Like you don't know. It's not like you have two. It's not like you have two paths in the middle of the daytime and you're trying to choose which one it is. It's like you have one path, but it's in the middle of darkness and you don't know where to go.
Okay. So what about like here's a caveat to that. What if your circle is bad for you, and you don't realize it now?
Yeah.
Like you're kind of stuck in like a rut, we'll say. It's something that I've thought about a lot recently. You know, I've had some different friends in my life. Some of them were really good, but they had a lot of problems,
Yeah.
and I didn't know how to help them at the time. I still don't know how to help them, and I really wish I could. They're really great people, uh, but a lot of those people fell in with other bad people, and they didn't know how to get out of that circle because they thought those people cared,
Right.
and now like their life is not doing real good.
Right.
Whereas like if they would have like stayed hanging out with me and like stayed on the same path I'm kind of on now, like my life's pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so
They in times. I'm trying to think of a way to word a quote here. In times that you don't know what to do,
yeah,
you'll always fall back on what you do know to do.
mm,
And the one thing that those people probably have in common is they have the same problems with those other groups.
right,
And if you get stuck in a group, there's nothing worse than getting stuck in a group of people that have the same problem as you do
yeah,
and don't want to get out of it.
yeah,
And I'm not saying one as in the aspect of everybody wants a better life,
right, right,
but it's they don't want to work towards
right. It's hard.
it's
They don't
hard.
want to do
Yeah,
the
yeah.
work.
And
Yeah,
you'll realize real quickly once you get the ball going that the hard things is what's going to make you hard, I guess if you want to call it,
yeah,
or stronger
yeah,
in the end. It was like what I was telling you about a couple of days ago. I said I've been working out now for almost 10 years.
yeah, yeah,
And it's now it's like I look at myself and I'm like even when I was 16 years old and I'm 26 now,
yeah.
I never thought I'd look the way that I look now. I never thought I would act the way. I remember when I was 16, I thought 30 years old was old. And I'll be 27 next year, or this year I'll be 27.
Nice.
So it's like you definitely don't see it at the time, but you have to have the one thing that we all have to have at the very end, and that's faith.
You know that's interesting because
And I haven't even been cooking to the point to where you can get God into this.
technically you can't. I like to say you can't put all your eggs in one basket because like you need to spread it out. That's why you need to have
Yes.
friends. You need to have the faith. You need to have the family. You need to have community. Uh, but
Two phones.
two.
I just
But I was just thinking like, and it dawned on me because I was just talking to Carson,
Mhm.
and I told him at one point I really struggled with deep philosophical questioning and thoughts, and I actually had a class that I hated because it wasn't a class about philosophy, but the teacher insisted on us reading philosophical books and having these philosophical conversations in a class that's supposed to be teaching me something else. And then he told me he took a class.
See, I would have loved that.
He took a class day one. History teacher says, we're not going to learn about history in here. You're going to learn about how to write. What the hell?
Yeah.
So that's essentially what I was in. I was in a philosophical class that was supposed to be about writing.
Gotcha. Okay, I'm
And so
following you.
first off, so that was a source of anger for me,
Following you.
but it wasn't the trigger yet. And I had a lot of stuff building up, and like it was just really starting to get under my skin. These people who like it seemed like they enjoyed this idea of like questioning God, and they liked questioning, uh, like, are we even really here right now?
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah,
talking.
yeah.
And I'm like, what are we talking about right now? Like, I'm supposed to be learning how to write a paper, and this is what I'm doing.
Right.
And it all ended up coming to a head, and I had like a breakdown. Actually, I don't know if I've ever talked to you about this.
I don't know. I don't
Uh,
think so.
I had bought a book from a guy who had a YouTube channel that I loved, and I read it, and it was about his military career. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. Well, then he come out with an autobiography, and he posted a video right after the book released. Same
Do I
day.
know? I know this guy.
You might. His name's Lunkers.
Oh, I've never. I know you're talking about, but I haven't looked into it. I remember you talked about him. This was probably years ago.
Years
I
ago.
remember. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. But I bought his book. I've still never read it to this day. The autobiography, because he wrote it himself.
yeah, yeah.
Well, with a little bit of help, but uh, and he dropped a video and he talked about being molested as a kid,
Hmm.
and that was just like over the top. At the time, and the stuff I was reading about in this class, and it's like all this like questioning that was going on, it was like, and it's funny. I'm leading up to the build
You're
up.
cooking.
Is like I had never experienced those like that strong of an emotion to the point that it like broke me. Oh,
What was the emotion?
the feeling of like sadness for these people. I felt bad that bad things happen to a good person like that, which is it's ironic because he's doing super good now. So like
Yeah. Oh,
there's
yeah,
no
yeah,
reason
yeah.
to feel bad for him.
Yeah,
His
yeah,
life
yeah,
now is awesome.
yeah, yeah.
And he was able to talk about it. So that's overcoming adversity right there. That's really good. But also I felt bad for these people in my class. I'm like, imagine if one of these people in here didn't have a relationship with God, and now they're not a believer because this person put these ideas in their head because they weren't strong enough in their mind
Right.
to handle that, you know. And
I'd like to know the percentage of the people that come back to it, though. You think it's high?
I don't know. Well, Christianity is the number one religion in the world currently, so maybe
I
it is.
don't think it's the number one growing religion, though.
I don't know if it's number one growing, but it's number one.
Yeah. Oh, no, I do believe that.
And followers. I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
I looked at it statistically here a while back after me and you had a conversation.
yeah, yeah. No, I do believe that.
Yeah, but I was like, and like I feel like I kept reading these passages and these books about stuff that just made me feel bad inside, but not about myself. It almost,
That is actually now that you've said that,
yeah,
I was dating a girl one time.
yeah,
This was in high school,
yeah,
and she told me that she'd been molested
yeah,
at a ball game, and then she told me the guy that did it was right over there,
yeah,
and that threw me into a mode of the guy shouldn't even be living anymore.
right,
Now, granted, I was 14, 15. I mean, I can't do anything about it.
right,
But I do remember the instance of anger in that. But that's so interesting that you said that because that's one way that something I need to practice to be more like you. Is because you said you instantly felt bad for the person that was the victim.
yeah,
When I didn't even think about. I thought about the victim, but it wasn't no longer about the victim anymore. It was about that guy
right.
that he should not be around anymore.
I think it's partly on that, but I think the ideas behind. I went through the stage recently and me and you've discussed it a lot, of really wanting to join some kind of
Cole.
no, of like military or law enforcement job
Yeah,
so that I could help people.
yeah.
And that's kind of where that comes from. Is like I have seen so many people stuck in these where bad stuff happens to them. Well, guess what? That's a job where I can
Try to make a difference,
can make a difference.
or you have a bigger, I know it's a bigger grasp
Yeah,
to possibly
I
make a
can
difference.
actually get my hands on the problem. You know, so,
Yeah, you know,
so
yeah,
like so like if you get a call about a domestic violence,
yeah.
well now guess what, buddy?
You get to
Try
be,
try to beat me up. I'm gonna take you to jail.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
You're
yeah.
not gonna beat up your wife anymore. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so I think some of that mentality forced me. which technically isn't really healthy because it was coming kind of from an angry place. And after really talking about it with you,
But are you channeling that anger to a good thing?
yes, but I feel like it'll get to a point where you're no longer
I agree with you. I already know what you're saying.
like you turn into the
Yes.
Punisher.
Yeah, I understand.
Like now you're like, I'm gonna beat this guy up.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Taking him to jail.
Right, right.
And having him go through the court process, the judicial process. Now you've decided that you're gonna take revenge into your own hands.
Right.
And that's not healthy.
No, it's not.
It's gonna end up causing you a certain level of self harm.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you're gonna think you're a bad person if you self realize. You may never come to that realization. And now you're a licensed killer, effectively.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Which is bad.
Yeah.
But what I was saying all that to say, like, I dealt with all that and I had a really low point, and I thought that was the lowest I'd ever come. But I've even had an even lower low recently. And with you and a friend of mine, another friend of ours, help, I worked through that, which was crazy. It's so crazy to look back on this stuff. But I said all that to say, me and you have super deep conversations now.
Yeah.
And we have, and I was talking with my guys about this deep philosophical stuff. So going through that class, maybe that helped build my, I call it resiliency to those conversations. I don't let them get to me. I don't let it stress me out like it used to.
Yeah, yeah.
Where it used to, it caused me a problem. So I can still feel those feelings, and I can still feel bad for victims.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can feel like I can still feel like I want to do something for people who can't, which I've always felt that way, even as a kid. Like I always wanted old people and kids, or people with special needs, like they have a certain level of pass, whereas like a healthy individual who has no problems, you don't get a reason to act a certain way.
Right.
In my eyes,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
like that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like imagine you're a guy in a wheelchair, and I don't know, somebody decides they're more important than you, and they're gonna like get in front of you, and the person at the counter didn't see it because this person's below the counter. They couldn't see the person.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
person cut them off.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not gonna work for me.
Yeah, it's taking advantage of somebody.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's not good. And
Right.
I'm going to stand up for that person because
Yeah,
I
yeah.
feel that it's morally the right thing to do.
Right.
And that's good. But
You should also essentially try to do that with everybody, though.
that's the key.
Yeah, that's the
and so
key.
that's where I find myself now.
Yeah, yeah.
Used to, I thought guys like Dylan, no.
Yeah.
They don't even get a chance to explain themselves.
Yeah, yeah.
They did wrong. They should have done right.
Yeah.
I'm going to take care of this.
Yep.
Everybody is equal. Everybody messes up. And so you have to give everybody that grace. Now, are you going to do that in the moment? Maybe, maybe not. That's you can't say. It's just going to happen in the moment. Whatever happens is going to happen.
Hey, you fall back to the least level of training that you had. That's what we say in the shooting thing.
That is true.
So,
That is true. So if you practice it, you're more likely.
that's right.
So, you know, there is some of that, but I think through these conversations and finding somebody who we can talk about it. We talked about this with David Dinkins. I thought that was beautiful.
Beautiful man.
He is, man. Hey, shout out to you, David. Awesome stuff. Is having somebody you can talk to. I was just talking to uh some guys about there's some things in my life I've never talked about. And this is going to circle back to something we were just talking about earlier that I think is a point of anxiety. It's a point of depression or making somebody feel bad. It's a point of anger, shame. Feeling
Yeah.
ashamed of yourself and carrying the weight of that,
Sucks.
it's bad, man.
Yeah.
It'll kill you like
Yeah.
stress. The same way stress will kill you. Here's a statistic for you. Here's a fact, actually. It's proven once you have an outburst of like anger, if I'm correct, it was for 4 hours. For the next 4 hours, you're at a 75% higher chance of a heart attack. Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah. Think about that. So anger will kill you. Has a higher probability to. Same way stress does.
I'm living good now.
But I was saying that to say, you know, like the shame of carrying something.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I will say that's where having a spiritual relationship is so great.
Holy shoot, you're so
Oh
right.
my gosh.
You're so right.
Imagine being able to talk to a guy named Jesus Christ, if you don't know,
Yeah,
and asking for forgiveness, and he says,
I got you.
I forgive you.
That's it.
It's, I'm trying to hold him back right now. That gets me, the thought of that makes me emotional, because the thought that you can do wrong, especially if there was a time in your life where, like we were talking about, you don't even realize you're doing wrong. Everybody's
yeah.
doing wrong.
Yeah, yeah.
You're just a part of that crowd, and you get out of it, and you realize, dude, I was a bad person,
Bad person, right.
and you ask genuinely from your heart for forgiveness, and you're forgiven,
Yeah.
and you don't have to tell anybody.
Yeah, yeah.
You can talk to the man,
Yeah, yeah.
and he's got you.
Yeah.
That's a huge weight off of you. And it's something I didn't understand as a kid, but I understand a lot more now as I'm getting older. And I kind of had a concept of it, and a lot of people kept telling me that, John, if you'll just turn stuff over, you'll feel so much better. And I was like, I don't understand how that works.
Right, yeah.
But now I do.
Yeah, yeah.
But at the
It's
same
tough.
time, I understand how important it is to sometimes have a real life friend who you can talk to about that stuff.
Yeah.
And so I've got a question for you.
Hit me.
And
Of what?
I kind of already know the answer. But are there things that you've done or that's happened in your life that you've never talked to anybody about? Like a secret almost that you're keeping. Really about yourself though, not for anybody else.
Oh, about myself?
Yeah, or for yourself.
Actually, probably not about myself.
Really?
A lot of the stuff that's involved. I'm trying to think.
Is it something you've done though?
Yes,
Okay.
but I have told people about that though.
Okay.
Like
So you don't really have any closed doors. Pretty open book.
yeah. I mean, maybe and maybe that's bad.
Is it?
I don't know.
I don't know either. That's what
I'm
I'm
sure
trying.
there's some people out there that says, "Hey, there's some people, some stuff you shouldn't tell to everybody." And I'm not going around telling my business to everybody.
Right, me neither.
But it's like, here's the best way I can put it.
Yeah.
I will never not tell something that I did wrong or was bad if I know it has the possibility to change somebody else's outcome.
Okay, so what if you did something wrong, but you're almost positive, which technically can be technically is already a false statement, but you feel that if you tell somebody, it's going to change the way they view you.
I've told people things that changes the way they view me. I've done that.
So,
And it sucks. And those people will never look at me no matter what for the rest of their life. I'm almost certain of it.
are you still in contact with those people?
Yes.
Are you still friends with them?
Yes.
Any of them family?
They are now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
There is I made a mistake.
Yeah.
With Cammy one time.
Yeah.
Biggest mistake I've ever made.
Yeah.
I always put it like this. There is a scale of love.
Yeah.
If you make a mistake,
Yeah.
and now I'll just come out and say it, I cheated on Cammy when we were dating each other. It was the dumbest thing I've ever done. Don't ever do it. I don't even know if I've ever really told you this story.
I don't know.
But I have told people this story,
Yeah.
including her. She knows about everything.
Right.
I will just go ahead and say that. It will make your relationship 10 times harder, if not 100,000 times harder.
Yeah.
Do not ever do it. It doesn't matter what the case is. I'm talking to men and women, and just don't do it, no matter what. Now, it's bad. I'm calling it cheating. It might be something other people don't.
Well, see,
It's just what I am.
that's the other thing, though. It's all how you view it. Because I could sit here and think about what I've done wrong.
Yes.
But you may view it differently than I do. I don't think you would, but I think.
Yes. So, that will all she will always think about that. There will never be a time.
Yeah.
And now, granted, I'm very responsible for what I did.
Right, right.
It was me being stupid because I was alone. That's literally the only reason why. When guys get alone, they get stupid.
Yeah.
So you have to, when you do something wrong, you have to admit that you do something wrong.
Yes.
And when I told her about it,
Yes.
their whatever relationship you had at that point is over, and you have to start a new one.
Right.
So when we got married, we sat down and I talked about it. I said, when we both agreed. I said, Cammy, I made a mistake. I said, the only way this is going to work is we're both going to have to work together completely on this.
Yeah.
And I said, and granted, I'll go ahead and say this, even though if I aired it out here, what I did, and some people don't think it's really that bad, it was still my mistake.
Right.
And I'm taking full responsibility for that mistake.
Right.
So if Cammy decided right then, hey, this ain't gonna work no more, I'm heading out, she probably should have. But now she's with me, and I'm super, super happy. So anyway, and I love my life. I got a great life. But you can't sit there and expect to for them not to want to leave if they want to leave.
Right.
That's their choice. You screwed up.
Right.
So, but yeah, she will never look at me as innocently as I was the first time.
Right.
Now, you got to come together and you got to form a relationship that's different than all of them.
So okay, here's a different instance though. What if you do something and the person who you talk to about it had nothing to do with it? So like in your instance, imagine if you told me,
Mhm.
right, and it changes the way I view you, which it don't. I've already made up my mind about you,
Yeah.
and so
It's like it'll probably change a lot of people's opinions that watch. Which we're here to just talk.
right.
So
Well, and I mean it may help
you can.
people. I mean, I think there's a lot of stuff that
I sure hope it does, cause don't do it.
there's a lot of people
Like
that don't talk about stuff.
like I mean like if some chick texts you, don't text her back. Like don't even do that. Just move on. Stay with the chick that you're with. If you want to text other chicks, don't be with that one chick. Go on.
And so I think there is a lot of mistakes and trauma and shamefulness that people need to work through.
Yeah.
And maybe if they hear your story, they can work through some of their
Yeah.
own. It may not be the exact same instance you have, but it could be anything.
And I'm sure a lot of people they'll they'll look they no matter who you are, you'll never be able possibly to change the mindset because I've prayed about it.
Right.
I know that I screwed up.
Yeah.
I understand all that.
Yeah.
I'm good at this point.
Yeah.
This is something I did. I'm ashamed of it.
Yeah.
I accepted that it happened.
Yeah.
I learned very well from it.
Right.
Because this was not something that I do all the time at all whatsoever.
Right.
It was just like I said, one time. And I learned from it very well.
Yeah.
And I think you could probably go ask Cammy now that I strive to take care of her in every possible way before.
Right.
But yeah, you just if you're out there and you make a mistake. So if you're me in this, there's gonna be a point to where you're gonna sit there and think all the time about how other people think about you. But I will go ahead and say this as well, and you can call me conflicting, you can call me whatever the heck you want. It's all about how one person thinks about you, and that matters. If you ask him for forgiveness and you ask him to come into your heart. So I consider myself a Christian.
Yeah.
God's forgiven me for this one thing.
Yeah.
He told me, hey, that you screwed up here. There's going to be a lot of people that don't like you anymore. There's going to be people that don't think the same thing about you anymore. But I forgive you. You're still a son of mine.
Right.
So all I can do is try to be the best that I am now. So that's how you gotta. You're gonna win some and you're gonna lose some. So I'm trying to tell you one that you will always lose. So don't do it.
So, but like, what if you the part I struggle with, right, is the thinking about if somebody if it is going to change the way they view you. And so, like, if you pick the right person to tell, somebody who truly will listen and hear you out and understand that you made a mistake without a fear of repercussion, right? So,
I don't know if you could ever have that fully. If you have values like mine,
mm,
like me and your values now,
yeah,
if somebody came up to me and they committed one of the cardinal sins that we think,
yeah,
it would be very hard for me to be like, well, I mean, they can sit down there and they can talk to me. You can talk to me. Anybody and whatsoever can talk to me about anything.
yeah,
I will sit down there and talk to you about whatever. But if you have done something that is seriously wrong, you have to understand that people's minds will change.
right,
Because whether you like it or not, if you made that mistake or you
yeah,
not, and this comes to anything that
right,
could be serious, um, you have to accept that you did it, and people are they just may not f with you anymore. That's just how it's going to be. And in the end, you'll like I said, in the end, I'm not saying don't go get friends, but it's only a matter if one person likes you.
So that's the deal, though, right? Is so what if you shout to Ryan? I just said dildo. So,
Dildo.
so what if you ask for forgiveness and you feel forgiven?
Yeah, I ridicule me if you want. I feel forgiven.
But if let's say you still carry some kind of feeling about it, about the situation,
What about it? I don't.
right?
And there's some people that believe that I should. There's some people believe that I should carry that shame with me forever. That I should be known as the Dylan that made the one mistake, but everybody thinks is perfect.
See, but that's what everybody also says. You should never be defined by your one mistake.
Yeah, and I go by that one.
Yeah, that's what I go by.
Yeah, yeah. So I will never
But
in
how do you,
my mind be known
so I
for
guess
that.
what I'm trying to say though is how do you choose to share, or how do you choose when to share and when not to?
Well, all I can do is give you my experience, and it
Because
is
what if
to
it didn't affect anybody? What if it only affects you? What if you make a mistake that only affects you?
what's the like
I'm trying to think of a good
oh
example.
yeah, I am too. Like, what's a mistake that, like I cut my finger off or something? Like,
No. So what if?
like a mistake that I've struggled with in the past is like watching porn.
Right.
That's a mistake,
Yeah.
but
Okay. So we'll use that as an example. Okay. So you're a single guy
okay.
doing your thing. Yeah, you ain't got no ties to nobody really. I mean, you got your family and your friends, but like you don't have a girl or anything like that.
Hmm.
And you decide you're gonna watch porn and stuff, and really the only person that's affecting is you by watching that stuff. It's affecting the way you view certain
Yes, yeah,
activities.
yeah, yeah,
It's affecting the way you view women,
yeah,
and
yeah,
it's affecting the way like things happen in your life.
yeah, 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 for sure.
Let's say you you self recognize and you're like, oh my gosh, you know, it's gotten out of control. What I'm
Hmm.
doing, it's like it's not healthy, and so you decide to ask for forgiveness through Christ,
Okay.
and you do, and He forgives you, and you've quit watching it, you've quit doing that stuff, and you're realizing in your mind how that could affect the way you view women and stuff,
Hmm.
and how it could mess up some of your thoughts and like your thinking process. Really, the only person who was harmed out of that is yourself.
Yeah.
So, but what if nobody knew? Like you did that all in the background of your life. Like on the front end,
Yeah.
people thought you're a pretty great guy.
Yeah, yeah.
And this all happened behind the scenes.
Right.
Do you tell anybody about that?
The only time that I would tell people is for the same reason I just told what I told.
Yeah.
Is because if you have the potential to help somebody else.
Yeah.
That's the only time, because if not, I mean, if you've came to ease with it, I mean, I wouldn't see a reason that you'd have to tell. I mean,
Especially like let's say you
it doesn't benefit anything. Only time I'd ever say you tell about it is if you're still worried about it.
so like if you did it and you're forgiven, you forgot about it even, and then something triggered you to remember it.
Hmm?
And you're like, oof. And you're like, maybe I should talk to somebody about that. There's a lot of that talk going on right now about like,
Oh yeah,
people going to therapy
all the time. Yeah, got my own opinion on that.
Well, that's what I'm about to ask then. Do you think they need to go and find somebody to talk to about that? If it's not really helping anybody, if it's just an old emotion that they felt it got stirred back up somehow.
Yeah. I guess you just have to self-evaluate and figure out if it's really doing harm to you.
Or like, what if they have a question about what they did wrong, and they don't know who to ask?
I'd find somebody to ask, or read the Bible.
But what if let's say you learned about it through that. You're reading the Bible and you're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You're like, that's me.
Yeah.
Or you feel like that's you. Maybe you didn't even do that exact thing. Like there's been a bunch of times in my life where like I'll talk about something I've done or admit something, and people are like, John, that's not a big deal. And
Yeah.
I'm like, it's a big deal to me. And
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
They're like, well, guess what? It's not a big deal.
Right. Yeah, they don't understand.
This stuff happens to me all the time.
Yeah.
People are like, dude,
Not a big deal, brother.
Don't care about that. And so, and it could be small stuff.
Yeah.
You know, that's what people tell you or whatever. But
it's small stuff to them.
But you take it really serious.
Yeah.
And because you want to be a better person. But imagine like you're reading and you're like, man, I think that sounds like something I did.
Yeah.
How do you find somebody that you feel like you can talk to about that? Do you need to find somebody that you're not gonna talk to again? Not a friend? So that your friend won't judge you?
No. You need to find a person that judges you. This might be a hot take. You need to find somebody that judges you because you want somebody that'll judge you for the wrong things that you did. Like, I'd rather you come to me and you told me something. I said, John, you did something that's wrong.
Well, what if I come to you and I told you, hey, I did something wrong, or I think I did. Here's the parameters. Do you think it fits inside that box? Do you think what I did? Like, I know it's wrong on a certain level, but is it wrong on like a crazy another level?
What are you asking?
So, like, what if you think you think it's wrong, but what if it is wrong on a spiritual level, and maybe you can't figure that out for yourself?
Oh yeah, I'd go talk to somebody about it. Somebody that's smarter than you are. That means
is it smarter or just a different point of view? Somebody
both
who you think can help you look at it in a different way.
Both. Yeah. So, like for my instance, I'm just airing out all my stuff on here.
I mean, I'm not trying to you.
No. I mean, I don't care. You know, I talk about everything.
Yeah, I know. I just want to make sure that people are feeling.
My instance was not. This is you going back to saying you say some people think it's bad and then some people think it wasn't.
Yeah.
My instance was there was no touching of anything. Like there was no hugging.
No physical contact.
There was no physical contact or whatever. I was just texting somebody things that I should have not been texting anybody. It wasn't even pictures or anything like that. It was just not the kind of talk,
not the kind of conversation.
Yeah. And it wasn't even like dirty talk or anything.
Right.
It was just talk that should not have been having with a chick while I was dating another chick.
Right.
And the also instance that this chick came over to my house.
Mm.
Now everybody's the speculations. You can think whatever you want to think. Like I said, that's why I'm airing it out. This chick came over to my house, but nothing happened there.
Right.
Like literally.
Yeah.
Whatsoever. And you can take my word for it or not. But like yeah, if I tell that to like dudes that used to be bros,
Yeah.
they're like, dude, what are you talking about? They're like, if any chick came over and touched my shoulder, it would be on.
Yeah.
And I was like in the moment realizing that I did something wrong, and there was. I mean, there was in that moment, but I was still stupid after that because I was trying to play the game of should I tell people or should I not tell people, and then anyway, so everything always comes out in the end.
Hell yeah.
Um,
But what if it don't? I don't know if y'all can hear that horse out there. Just saying. Shout out to the horses.
it probably should. Cammy had every bit of right for me to tell her
Once again, though, that's what I'm saying.
to what it was.
So, like with the porn thing.
Yeah.
Let's say it didn't affect anybody. Should that still come out?
It should only come out if you see that it's affecting somebody else and you think that you can help them. If you're good with it, if you're just if you used to watch it a bunch and now you don't watch it at all, and you're good with it, no. And everybody's going to be reminded of something. Like everybody calls me a hypocrite now. It's like if I watch a movie or something like that and some dude's cheating on a girl or something like that, I'm like, I'm not watching this. This is stupid. And there's some people that's like, how can you say that if you literally did that? And I'm like, I'm saying that now because I know that point of view 1,000%.
Right, right.
And like I said, there was not even physical contact in mine, and all these are doing all kind of junk on
Right,
TV now.
right.
But it was just it. Everybody's like, well, you can't say that because you did that. I'm like, okay, it's your opinion. You can think whatever you want.
Well, there's also the other side of that.
What?
You're gonna have more knowledge on how everything plays out.
Yeah.
And how it feels
Yeah.
to be in that scenario. So
Right.
actually, you do have some say in it. And,
Right.
and especially from a guy who's made peace with it.
Yeah.
I think that's actually a really beneficial viewpoint. The same way I hear a lot of people say, why would you take training from a guy who's uh, like never been through it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, why would you
yeah.
take advice from a guy who's never been through something?
Right.
So, like, if he's never been married, why would you ask him for marriage advice?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there you go. So people are like, well, you don't have any room to talk.
Yeah.
Well, the same thing could be said for, stuff like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's what I tell people. It's just I can only tell you what happened to me, and then and going back to me, or not what happened to me, what I did. Yeah, but it's everybody's perspective is going to be on different levels. Like there'll be some people out there that said, "What my definition." Let's go ahead and say this. My definition of cheating on somebody is no matter what I did, no matter if I just sent one text message to this chick that anything that Cammy thought was wrong,
Mhm.
Cammy will always have a part in her body that's Dylan is not as trustworthy as he used to be.
Mhm.
Now, everybody's goal is to always build back up to that.
Right.
But I've always said people, especially like even though there was no physical touching or anything like that, that the amount of stuff that is now in Cammy's mind, I hate that for her because I'm the one that did it to her, and I hate that for her because I love that woman more than anything else. So all I can do is just pray
Right.
and just keep trying to be a good person.
Yeah. And it's a different kind of thing. So like it's not a for you it wasn't this like everybody imagines. Like it's not the first thing everybody jumps to in their mind.
Yeah.
But it's more of a it's a mental spiritual type of wrong. You've
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. If like I've heard some, but like I said, that's my definition of cheating. But there's some people out there that say that it's like all you did was emotionally cheat on her,
Right, right.
and I was like, everybody's got their own difference, but whatever. But I call it how it is.
Yeah.
So it's just how it goes. So
Interesting.
you just, like I said, in the end, you just gotta try to be the best person that you can be. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm
And
not gonna sit here and say that my mistake was justified in any way whatsoever.
I, I got a quick thing I've got to share. I learned about, I had to do a project recently called A River of Life, where I wrote out 50 things. This is what I did. Everybody did their own kind of thing. But I wrote out 50 things that explained my life from the start to now
Mm-hmm.
to tell people. And I realized really quick, like I wrote like all the good stuff that's always happened in my life.
Yeah.
And that's a good way to look at it, but it's technically not the truthful way. You need to also look at the bad stuff because that's what makes you who you are today.
Yeah.
Especially
sure.
if you overcome it.
Yeah, for sure.
And so you have to take them both. You can't just have all good. You can't just have all bad. You got to have good. You got to have bad. And you've got to be able to connect and you have to be able to connect with your own stuff
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
and be okay and live with it. Because if you just hide it and you're just like, hey, everything's good, I bet you're tore up inside.
Oh, of course you're tore up inside. Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
For the first little bit, I mean, I felt like, oh, it was like when it comes to the low on the low, it was like Satan and then Dylan.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it was like that close to the time.
Yeah.
And then you just ask for forgiveness and you just keep working your way through it. But
Yeah.
I'll tell you the one thing that's helped me through it, because if there's anybody out there that has done something that's really, really bad, and I'm not just talking about stuff like me, anything, remember this. Tom Holland said this, and I love it.
Oh, okay.
He said that uh, if anybody out there hates you and they don't have your phone number, they don't know you enough to hate you. So that's always been my thing. If I've and there's been a couple of people that said some stuff about me, even though I normally laugh it off. Uh, if they say stuff to me, I'm like, if you got a problem with me, call me. Oh, you don't have my number? Then you probably really don't have a problem with it.
Yeah.
So that's how. Yeah, that's what it is.
That is what it is.
Well, buddy, is there anything else you want to talk about?
No, I could go all day though.
I got to go disc a field
Okay.
on a tractor.
Fun.
Yeah, know it. No, that's living the farm life, guys. That was episode 9.
Nah.
9. We're about to be at double digits. So thank y'all for watching. I hope some people got some good insight out of this.
Yeah.
It was probably the prettiest, heaviest podcast that we've had so far.
I think it was.
But anyway, we like having these deep talks, and I'm sure if it helps anybody out there, it does. But the whole goal of the whole Skeptics podcast is to be able to help y'all form an opinion about everything.
Yeah.
So just try to give you what my truth is, what his truth is, all the sides, so everybody can see it and help you form an opinion on every single thing. But anyways, we're gonna roll out.
Yep.
Have a great day. Live a life that blesses God, and we will see y'all in the next one. Later.
Bye.